Okay. Hi, my name is, and I just wanted to show you today how to make a special recipe called rosca de reyes. And what rosca de reyes is, it's a recipe that's popular in Mexico that's made every year and around January 6th, which is Three Wise Men Day. So normally in Mexico on Three Wise Men Day, you wake up on January 6th and under the Christmas tree is presents, supposedly from the Three Wise Men. And then that evening, you have a little party and you have this rosca de reyes, which is like a sweet bread. And it's actually, you'll recognize this sweet bread from different parts of the world. In Spain, they have it. It's called roscón de reyes. And in New Orleans, they have it, like in Louisiana, where it's, and in France, where it's called king's cake. And so in king's cake is done usually in February in Louisiana, but it comes from France. And so this is a special bread that I'm not too sure if the origins were Spain or France or maybe a mixture of or another country. But I'm going to show you a series of videos showing you how to make this bread. So this video I'm showing is going to be the yeast proofing. And I apologize with the technology. I'm going to have to show you a series of videos on how to do this. And so the yeast proofing is where you put a package of yeast, which is 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast, and half a cup of water that is at a temperature of 105 to 115 degrees, and 1 teaspoon of sugar. The sugar provides the yeast energy to create carbon dioxide, and that's what helps lift the bread up. You stir it together and you let it stand for about 5 to 10 minutes. And so that is the yeast for this bread. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove that one. And then I want to share another screen with you. Oh. All right. So I'm glad you guys can hear me. So I am going to share another screen. But for some reason, it's not letting me share it.
Hi, my name is Maria, and welcome to...
Sorry about that. Sorry, I've got some technical difficulties here. I thought I could do this, and obviously I did not do it. So for the actual dough, what you're going to put in is 4 cups of flour, 3 eggs, and then 3 eggs that are separated, and you're just going to use those yolks. So 3 full eggs and then 3 egg yolks. And then you can put 2/3 cup of sugar or a little more if you wanted. And then you have a tablespoon of warm water. Oh, no. You have orange zest. Forget the water. You have orange zest and any kind of orange extract if you have any. I didn't have any orange extract, so I ended up using just some orange juice. If you add liquid to it, though, you're going to need to add a little bit more flour. And then you're going to want some salt. And then it asks for half a cup of butter softened and a tablespoon of butter softened. And so that's what I put in, mix that in together, and then I poured in the yeast after that was all mixed together. And now it came up with the share screen. So, but I closed out the window by accident. So then you let that rise. So you cover it up, and then you're going to let that bread rise, and it's going to pretty much double in size. And so I'm going to share another screen with you on kneading it. So you're going to see I've got my surface ready, and I've got my surface ready, and there you see the bread, and it's doubled in size. And I actually made 2 loaves out of this, 2 rosca de reyes, and they're not really loaves. The idea with rosca de reyes, because it's based off of the 3 wise men, you're creating a crown. So when you knead it all together, you're going to create like a bread that looks like a crown, and then you're going to decorate it with dried candied fruit. The dried candied fruit is supposed to be like the jewels of the crown. And then you're going to hide a little plastic or porcelain baby, and that represents Jesus. It's the baby that's hidden in the bread. And then when you slice your bread, if you end up, your goal is not to get the baby Jesus. Because if you do, then on February 2nd, you are obligated to have another party, and you're going to have tamales at that party. And it represents the Dia de Candelarios. And so Rosca de Reyes, the 3 wise men day or Magi, and Candelario are kind of connected because of that. But it's really like that, it just kind of forces everyone to slice the smallest slice they can, because then they can not get the little doll, and then that way they don't have to have the expense of another party, and they don't have to make tamales. And so that's always good. So you see I've separated, because this actually gave me a lot of bread, and so I made 2 of them. And so as you can see, I'm still kneading it, and you definitely want to have flour on your hands to help you knead it. And here I am actually putting in some dried fruit. So it's some dried cherries and some currants that I'm throwing in there while I knead the bread, so that they're inside the bread. So I'm just kneading that out. And then you can see it got pretty sticky, because I didn't think about the fact that I put like maybe not half, but 1/4 a cup of orange juice. And so that gave it a lot of moisture. Also, a mistake I made is when I had it rising in that bowl, I did not grease the bowl first. I forgot to do that. So it was really sticky. So now you see I'm separating it, and you're pulling it into a big, like oval shaped circle. And I'll do that with the next one. And I am just going to fast forward a little. As you can see, I'm adding the currants and the cherries, the dried fruit. I guess you could call it like a fruit cake. Because it has all that dried fruit in there. And a lot of popular fruit that you put in is dried figs, but I couldn't find any this year, so I just put some dried papaya, apricots, cherries, and pears, and different ones. So now you've got your crown, your rosca de reyes. All right. And so that was the rosca de reyes. Now, one thing with rosca de reyes is that if you've ever had like a concha, they have like this special paste on top of this pastry. And so this is a real popular thing to put on the rosca de reyes. So I'm going to show you how to make the paste, and that's what this next video is. And so with the paste, you can actually, you're going to use 1/4 cup of butter. You're going to need 1/4 cup of flour, and you want that butter to be pretty soft. 1/2 cup of white sugar, and you're going to mix those together. And it kind of was interesting because I had never made this paste before. And and the sugar that you're putting is powdered sugar, or confectioner's sugar. And I had never made this paste before, and it was pretty good. And you also are going to put 1 egg yolk in that as well. And that 1 egg yolk kind of I think that's what pulls the paste together and keeps it together while it's baking. Once you pull it out, it actually sticks pretty well to the bread. Now remember, when you made your dough, you had like your 3 eggs, and then you had 3 egg yolks. So you had like 3 egg whites that were left over, and that you can use to cover your bread. So you can have your egg wash on your bread with just the egg yolks. And so you're not completely wasting those egg whites. So in there, I'm putting in the flour, and then in a few seconds here, I'm going to be putting in that 1 egg yolk. Now, one thing, if you can't find a porcelain doll or a little baby plastic doll that you can put in the oven, what you're going to want to do is you're going to use a bean. So I use like a big lima bean because I didn't have any dolls to put in there. So I put that in just so that you get a surprise when you're doing it. And so one thing with the paste, and I'm just going to fast forward a little because it did take a while, and then I realized, you know what? It was just, I didn't have a big enough bowl. So I ended up kind of making a bit of a mess. But it was easier to use the paste, to do the paste just by kneading it with your hand. And so that's what I did. And so now I'm going to go ahead and stop that. And then you're going to see the big part of it. Oh, sorry. The big part of it is decorating the rosca. And so here's one. Here's the 2 that I made, and I'm using the egg wash on it. And it wants, in the recipe that I used, it wants you to use the egg wash on it twice. And that maybe it's just because you're using it to help you with all the dried fruit so that it sticks to it. So maybe it just helps to stick to it better. So as you can see with the other one, I put a lot of dried papaya. I put some dates and some dried apricots, different, whatever I had laying around. And that's what I ended up putting on there. And then you'll see that I'm going to, after I do the egg wash, I'm going to put the paste on it first. And with the paste, some people end up changing, and they end up adding, like, they take a few, like half it out, and then with 1/2 of the paste, they end up putting like some food coloring. And usually it's like the food coloring that I've seen traditionally was like green and pink, or like a reddish pink. And those are the colors that they end up using. And that's the paste. So it worked really well, and it was kind of easy to do. I just kind of kneaded it a little bit more, and then I just decorated it onto the rosca. And one thing with the paste is some people actually put like extracts of different flavors into it, but it tasted pretty good just with the sugar. So I don't know if it really needs that, but if you wanted to add to it, I'm sure that the orange extract would actually taste really good. So, and I'm just going to fast forward because there's a lot of, I'm still on the paste, as you can see, and then I start decorating it with the different fruits. And I'm just laying it on there. Now, one mistake I made, also I made lots of mistakes with these, but one mistake, I had them together on the baking sheet, and I really should have just baked them each individually on their own sheet, because the idea of the rosca de reyes is, you know, how you have it's like a round, an oval shaped bread with nothing in the middle. I'm going to show you the finished product. So with the finished product, and so we're going to go ahead and close that video out. But with the finished product, I want to show you is it turned out pretty good, but there's no hole in the middle. It just kind of, I think because the sheet was too crowded, because I had two of them on one sheet, that the hole just kind of baked into itself. So it's supposed to have a hole, but that's what it looks like. So this is the rosca de reyes. I'm going to cut it, and then you can see maybe a little bit better. The piece. So you can see the dried fruit inside, and it's not a lot, but it's some. And then here is the paste, and then here's some of the dried fruit. So the rosca de reyes is eaten every January 6th in the evening. You invite your friends, your neighbors over, and you make a big pot of hot chocolate or atole, something warm, and then you're going to have this sweet bread with it. And then you just remember everybody's going to try their hardest to cut the smallest piece possible. And then once somebody gets that little baby Jesus or the little bean that's in there, and then they're stuck with making the tamales for February 2nd, then everybody can cut bigger pieces because they don't have to worry about having more baby Jesuses in there. Although some people add more than one. So you can find this dish in some of the Mexican-based bakeries. I've actually seen it at Sam's Club before. So, you know, look around, because you might see it around the 6th of January. Give it a try. It's actually a really tasty recipe. It's great with coffee, with hot chocolate, and it's just a tradition that's done every year in Mexico and in different parts of the world. So I hope you enjoy it. Have a great day, and thank you for joining me today.